whatever. We're fine. It's Writer Radio. It's episode 228. Bob Gaughan joins me today at 11 o'clock. I'm riding this plan. I've been doing the show sheets again. I got the printer working, and we're doing it. But I have found that I enjoy just making things up as I go. It's not ideal. I don't have a program director. If I had a program director, he or she, in theory, would yell at me. It's never been a she, so I'm just saying he. It's always a he. He'd yell at me, tell me I'm unprepared. I would say, shut up, jerk. You don't know what you're talking about. This is a better show. It's best when I have a million things that I have lined up and I just kind of bounce all over. It's second best when it's just scattershot, I think. And then third is like fully prepared, buttoned up show like other people do. I don't want to do a show like other people do. For example, what am I opening the show with? What do I ever open the show with? Like going in, I never know. I've always got a bunch of stuff, and then something hits me right as the show starts, and that's what I open with. Today, I got a text from our good friend Scott Wilson, and it was a highlight of a Bills touchdown, the touchdown to Knox, the cool fired into the end zone play. I've seen multiple reaction videos to this touchdown today. One was Chris Brown in the booth at Gillette Stadium, posted by him, but then reposted by Sean Clancy, who went to Geneseo with Chris and myself, and was apparently the spotter at Gillette Stadium. I don't know if he does this all the time. That's great if he does. But Sean posted it just on Facebook, like a repost of Chris Brown's post of the reaction inside the booth. And it was cool, and I liked it, but I'm not going to show it because what Scott sent me is the broadcast audio of a Brazilian television station on the Josh Allen touchdown to Dawson Knox that I can't get enough of, and I haven't heard it in headphones. I heard it just through my phone while music was playing as the show was about to begin. We did a bunch of Christmas music, and I was like, I'm going to play one more song, let it play one more, and it turned into an ad for vacuum cleaners. And I was like, well, I'm picking the next song. So Lawyers, Guns, and Money by Warren Zevon was intentional. Everything else was just on shuffle, like my little holiday playlist. But we did that, and while I was listening to that, I was also watching/listening to basically take a Bills game and add foreign soccer announcers, except it's an American football game. So we're gonna watch and listen to this together because this is fantastic. Thanks to Scott Wilson for forwarding this. The caption on this tweet said, "From now on, I'm only going to listen to Bills games in Brazilian or Portuguese, whatever it is." This is great. So we're going to do it. I think the audio should work too. If it doesn't, that ruins the whole thing because the point is foreign language yelling about Josh Allen. Let's try it.
Allen. 5 recebedores, ele escapa da pressão de novo, vem passe pelo meio, é touchdown Buffalo Bills! Míssil de Josh Allen! Dawson Knox no fundo da endzone, traz pro chão, Nana Nenê, é virada do Buffalo Bills!
Belíssima jogada do Josh Allen. Tem que ver a cobertura defensiva inteira fazendo o quê? Protegendo a linha do gol, protegendo a endzone. Josh Allen tem que comprar tempo. A rota do Keon Coleman segura o defensor no lado direito, cria espaço.
Why would we not just play that 47 times and call it a day?
Allen. 5 recebedores, ele escapa da pressão de novo, vem passe pelo meio, é touchdown Buffalo Bills! Míssil de Josh Allen! Dawson Knox no fundo da endzone, traz pro chão, Nana Nenê, é virada do Buffalo Bills!
Belíssima jogada do Josh Allen. Tem que ver a cobertura defensiva inteira fazendo o quê? Protegendo a linha do gol, protegendo a endzone. Josh Allen tem que comprar tempo. A rota do Keon Coleman segura o defensor no lado direito, cria espaço.
It's great. It's great. I don't have anything to say about it. It's just great. It's fun. It's Writer Radio, and I got to switch the camera again. There we go. All right. Bob Gaughan's going to join me at 11. The Sabres have a new general manager. We talked about that briefly within the last 2 days, but like I haven't even learned how to say his name yet to where I think Jarbo is the first name. Kekalainen? Jarbo Kekalainen? Something like that. We'll learn it. It'll become second nature because these names that are perfect tie-in here. That's NFL Brazil announcing a Josh Allen-to-Dawson Knox touchdown, where the only words you understand are Josh Allen, Dawson Knox, touchdown, Buffalo Bills, Keon Coleman. I heard all of those things in there, and then just noises. And if you think about it, when the Sabres acquire, they draft Maxim Afinogenov. At first, that's like a weird series of letters put together, but eventually it just becomes part of your vocabulary. And I'm sure that the new Sabres GM will become a part of my vocabulary. But as of right now, I have to look at it written out and then pronounce it as it's said. But I don't know the guy at all. But he's been around, and he's been with the team since May. And right around 10 o'clock, I realized I don't know anything about this dude. Who knows things about hockey things? And I thought of Paul Hamilton. So I sent a text to Paul, but he, of course, is going to practice right now, so he's not available to come on the show to tell me what's up with this dude. But we'll get him soon. We'll get somebody soon. Hopefully Paul. I'd like to have Paul. And he's only been on, I think, once in 228 episodes. I think he's been on once, maybe twice. But we'll get him. Morning skate. Oh, he's texting me right now. On Friday, practice isn't until noon. All right, we'll have Paul on Friday. Friday it is. We'll get Paul. Figure out what the hell's going on. I was thinking they were playing today, and today was a morning skate, but I guess tomorrow's the morning skate. They play Philly next, I think, right? I continue to have a beef with the NHL and its standings. And it's becoming more clear what my problem is, and it is the math. It's the math of some games being worth 2 points and some games being worth 3 points. They put point percentage in the standings. Point percentage, which, bear with me here, okay? There used to be ties in hockey. So you had 3 columns in the standings. You had wins, you had losses, you had ties. Wins got you 2 points. A tie got you 1 point. A tie also got the other team that tied 1 point. So every game was worth 2 points. That made sense. They used to care about winning percentage. We don't need to care about winning percentage anymore. Point percentage is the thing. And to me, if you get a point in every game, you're a 500 hockey team. That's what point percentage says. The Sabres right now are a 500 hockey team, point percentage-wise. Not win percentage, but point percentage. Because although a game is worth 3, you can't earn 3 in a game. A game can be worth 3. Listen how dumb this is. How many points? We do everything for the playoffs based on the standings. The standings are based on the points. How many points is each game worth? And the answer is, well, sometimes 2 and sometimes 3. Depends how close it is. That's dumb. And what that leads to is the Sabres winning 3 consecutive games and getting themselves back to a 500 points percentage. And they're in last place in the conference. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be in last place in the conference. I'm just saying those numbers shouldn't be the way they are. It shouldn't be you earn exactly 1 point every time you play, which is worst in the conference. There are 5 or 6 teams in the West that are sub 500 points percentage. So the Sabres would be ahead of them. But when the team wins 3 games in a row, I should see some sort of movement. Should I not? And I'm seeing nothing. They're just sitting at the bottom, and I hate it. So that's all resolved if you make a win worth 3 points and an overtime loss worth 1 point. I'm okay with rewarding you for getting to OT. It just, there can't be that third point. It's messing with everything. I hate it. And especially for someone who I will call myself a casual fan. of the hockey team. I don't know all the players. I got to call Paul to find out who the GM is. I don't know what's going on. But I do know that if you've earned a point in every one of your games, that should put you somewhere in the middle. They've earned 50% of the points that are possibly available to them. And this is not me complaining like on behalf of the Sabres. This is just complaining on behalf of a fan who's trying to pay attention, sort of. Like, I should be able to look at it and see, all right, they've won enough games. They've won the same number of games as they've lost, and then they've gone to overtime and lost those. So that's, I mean, it's not great. I think it's 4 overtime losses. Let's say they're 12-4 or something like that. That should be reflected in the standings, and it's just not. And I don't think that me talking about it on this show with its tiny little audience is going to make a difference in the NHL, but I need to express my frustration. I'm bothered by this. That's all. That's the whole story. Why do I have 8 notifications? What's going on here? What happened? Did I tweet something? No, that's not me. Oh, it's about... Oh, yeah. Vrabel, Mike Vrabel was mad about the lack of pass interference on that. You know the weird Shakir play where it might have been a catch and it might have been an interception, but it doesn't matter because it was pass interference? And then he talked about it in his press conference like they got screwed. And I heard Bill Simmons. I was listening to Simmons, who's a Patriots guy. And he wasn't actually mad, but he just spoke in like plain terms as if there were 8 calls or so that could have gone either way, and all of them went in the Bills' favor, neglecting completely the free field goal that was awarded when Gillette Stadium didn't even attempt to run the clock properly at the end of the first half. So that, to me, was the grossest part of all of it. Everything else was, judgment call type of stuff. But Vrabel talking about the pass interference being called, like, well, he turned his head around. What do you want? And I'm paraphrasing. I don't know that he said those words, but that's the implication. The DB ran face first into Khalil Shakir, then turned around. Then it was kind of a simultaneous catch. He ran right through him, then turned his head. Turning your head doesn't negate the fact that you just ran through somebody. And I'm trying to like Mike Vrabel, honestly. I'm trying to not be a hater on the whole Patriots thing. I mean, it was frustrating to deal with them for 20 years, but it's not anymore. Now they're just a pretty good team with a young, good quarterback and a good head coach. And I even talked to my wife and told her in advance of the game, like, I know you hate Mike Vrabel. She just thinks he looks like a dirtbag. She's got her own. She's an angry woman. She's got her own little quirks about coaches that the Bills face and players that they face. Like, she roots for the Bills the way that I did when I was a kid. I think maybe it was when I started working in radio that I started to appreciate other players on other teams and other coaches and that kind of thing. And then it has just stuck with me. I think of it as like growing up and being an adult about sports, but it's probably not that. It's probably recognizing that I couldn't be a Buffalo sports radio host and just hate everyone else, right? Like that, it just seemed immature and stupid and unprofessional. So I had to find some things I liked about some other coaches. And with Vrabel, she doesn't like how he looks. He looks like a meathead or something. Shout out Rob Reiner. But I told her he shaved his mustache. He looks like a regular guy. I watched the news conference leading into the game, and he seemed fine. Like, I didn't know that was all it was. And he used to be a beard or a goatee or whatever, but you take away the facial hair from Mike Vrabel, he just looks like a person I would hang out with. And it's not that I don't hang out with people with mustaches, but you know what I'm saying. There was a vibe, like a gross vibe to him, and it went away when all he had to do was shave. And I told her that, and she bought in. Like, we watched the game. She's like, oh, yeah, that's better. It looks better. But then we get to the post game, and this guy who I I have more respect for New England now that he's the head coach. And then he's just like whining about officiating when, my God, if there's anything wrong with that game, it's that Gillette Stadium is still a crooked house. It's a rigged house. They're still doing stuff. It's only a little bit, but it's there. And once you've got the reputation and you've been investigated multiple times and had fines and suspensions and sanctions, I guess is the word I was looking for, not suspensions, but draft picks and all kinds of stuff happened because that community, that building, was seeking every possible extra edge. They're still doing it. They did it the other day. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a pass interference call when a guy ran through the receiver. How do you call that? Well, let's start with the part where he's running into the dude who's trying to catch the ball. Let's start with that. So that's why I have a bunch of stuff in my Twitter box here, notifications. I don't contribute to the Twitter community very often. And usually when I do, it's just kind of, yelling into a void. But sometimes I say something that, I don't know. So that's what's going on. I jumped into an argument about that. Oh, yeah. I wrote, you can't run into the wide receiver and then turn your head and have that make it okay. And a bunch of people like that. And then some people argued with me, of course. But, that's what happens. Because it's Twitter or it's X or whatever it's called. All right. Done with that. Closing that. Moving on. We will do the Brad Van calendar again. I have... I'm going to have to go upstairs and get a QR code to make it work. But my youngest son, Drew, has been participating in an after-school program called the Buffalo Bills Podcast Club. And he spent, I think they went 4 times for like an hour. And it's out. The new pod has dropped. It's him and his friend Dylan. And they do a podcast that they called Allen's Dimes because they're 9 and that's how they talk. And so they did a podcast. It's like 2 minutes long. It's the best. It's brought to you by the Buffalo Sabres because they just made them a sponsor, and by Pepsi, which bubbles in your mouth or something. But it's 2 9-year-olds doing a podcast about the Bills that would work very well as a Brad Van Calendar gift to you. I probably am going to use something else for Brad Van Calendar, and I'm probably going to just play that anyway, but that's going to have to happen after a break because I have to go upstairs and get the QR code, unless it's still in my phone. Nah. So they went for, it was an after-school thing. It was for like a month, every Tuesday or whatever, Monday. And they would go in, and then I'd pick them up at 4 o'clock, and I'd say, how's your podcast? And he'd say, we didn't do it yet. And then it happened again. They didn't do it yet. And finally, after 4, it's over. And then they came home with a QR code that you scan, and then you can listen to Drew and Dylan talking Bills. It's like 2 minutes long, and it's great. It's really awesome. So I think we'll definitely do that at some point during the show. What else is going on here? Mick Foley is leaving WWE, which I didn't know he was still involved. Kind of old. But wrestling legend Mick Foley cuts WWE ties over Trump's Reiner comments. I got to say, of all the gross stuff that's gone on since 2016, all the just sort of petty, vile, the comments that show very little respect for other people, the stuff that has led a large chunk of the country to just be like, screw this guy when talking about the president of the United States. Most of it, whatever. That's who he is. It's fine. For some reason, the comments after the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife by Trump on, not even on Twitter, on his own fake Twitter. I don't know why that to me is. Mick Foley uses the phrase "the last straw," but it's not quite that to me. It just felt so much worse than all the other stuff and all the other comments. I'm not even talking about like policy type of stuff. Just like, do we like that guy? And I don't know how you could possibly like the guy that says what he said after a guy and his wife are murdered. It was just, I guess what I would, I'm happy to see this Mick Foley story because it justifies the feelings that I have. Where it's like, all right, this has been weird. It's been a weird run. Minimally, right? This whole Trump presidency has been weird. Doing, knocking down a part of the White House to put in a ballroom just out of nowhere. Hey, look what we're doing. Look, it's a wrecking ball. What? There's a lot of it that's just weird and off-putting. Off-putting is the word I'm looking for. But the most off-putting thing he's ever said or done, I think, is this. Let me rephrase that. I'm not going to say said or done. Said and done are two different things. What's he actually doing? What's he saying? Most of what he's saying, I just take as, that's just a crazy, silly Trump, silly Don. He's just being silly. But this one just felt so gross and so weird. Here's the Mick Foley story. Professional wrestling legend Mick Foley says he's cutting ties with WWE over the organization's support of Donald Trump, citing the president's incredibly cruel comments in the wake of Rob Reiner's death as, quote, the final straw. In a post on Instagram, Foley said he no longer wishes to represent a company that... I'm going to not read that because I'm just going to read what he wrote. He wrote this on Instagram. Headline, Parting Ways with WWE. While I've been concerned about WWE's close relationship with Donald Trump for several months, especially in light of his administration's ongoing cruel and inhumane treatment of immigrants and pretty much anyone who looks like an immigrant, reading the president's incredibly cruel comments in the wake of Rob Reiner's death is the final straw for me. I no longer wish to represent a company that coddles a man so seemingly void of compassion as he marches our country towards autocracy. Last night, I informed WWE Talent Relations that I would not be making any appearances for the company as long as this man remains in office. Additionally, I will not be signing a new Legends deal when my current one expires in June. I love WWE, will always treasure my time with them, and I am deeply appreciative for all the opportunities they afforded me. But in the words of Popeye the Sailor, I stands all I can stands, and I can't stands no more. It's pretty well put. I'm happy that this particular comment has drawn the amount of attention that it's drawn. Disgraced WWE co-founder Vince McMahon is a known longtime friend of Trump, though he's no longer directly affiliated with the company. Sure. McMahon's wife, Linda, is currently Trump's Secretary of Education. Their son-in-law, WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque, is part of the president's fitness council. Foley, who also wrestled under the aliases Mankind, Cactus Jack, and Dude Love, was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2013, part of the class that also included Trump. Trump went in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2013, and then 3 years later, we elected him president. We're killing it, America. We're killing it. Good God. So, yeah, there's that. Okay. Moving on. MIT professor and fusion scientist shot dead at his home. A lot of people being shot dead lately, or stabbed dead, or injured. I feel like we've had some sort. There was the Brown University thing. There was Rob Reiner. There's this professor. I feel like there's another one that has happened within, like, this week. And it's making me fairly uncomfortable. But we just, roll with it, right? This is life now. We just have constant murders, assassinations. This is normal. This is what we're doing. Okay. I am a person who talks a lot, and I am generally at a loss for words to describe the overwhelming, like, if you let all of the news lately consume you, how do you walk around like just a normal person in society? I don't let it consume me. But there are moments where I'm just like, why? Why is everything like this now? What happened? What's going on? So there's that. That's, kind of how was it yesterday? Yesterday, I was like, I just don't have it in me. I don't have a show in me. And it's all this stuff. Like I'm here for fun. I like fun. This is not to say I'm not a serious person. I can be a serious person. But I don't want the news every day to be so overwhelmingly awful that I feel like I'm being a clown by not addressing it. But yeah, that's where we are. Cool. Super cool. Buck Rogers died. Not the real, the guy that played Buck Rogers died. So 70s people dropping this week. Not great. Rob Reiner, the guy who played Buck Rogers, whose name I should have in front of me, Cal something. Whatever. It's Buck Rogers. And he wasn't murdered. He's 88 or something. Luke of Luke and Laura fame on General Hospital passed away at age 78. That's a crazy one. So I've never watched a moment of General Hospital, but I am aware of Luke and Laura. I know that's a thing. And I know that their wedding was a big deal on the show. It was like the most watched soap opera episode of all time. But I was shocked to read that happened. The wedding happened in 1981. So I was 6 or 7 years old. And I still know about it. I still knew about it. Also, not only did Luke and Laura get married on General Hospital in 1981, Luke, played by Anthony Geary, he was 78. He was most recently on General Hospital in 2017. Luke and Laura got married in 1981, and this dude was still on the show through 2015 and then made an appearance in 2017. That's crazy. There's a whole world of General Hospital that has happened since Luke and Laura got married in 1981. The show's still on, I think, right? I think it's still going. And they can't have come up with any new plot lines. That's crazy. I laugh at my wife still watching Grey's Anatomy. This isn't even close to Grey's Anatomy. Well, I got to look this up. How long has General Hospital been on? And what was Luke doing in 2017 when he got married in 1981? General Hospital overview. No, I want Wikipedia. That's what I want. I want Wikipedia General Hospital. There we go. Often abbreviated GH. It's been broadcast on ABC since April 1st, 1963. It was originally a half-hour thing. Went from 30 minutes to 45 minutes in July of 76. Went to a full hour in January of 78. Set in a hospital in the city of Port Charles, New York. General Hospital originally starred two people, I don't know, who stayed with the show until their deaths in 96 and 91. John Berardino and Emily McLaughlin. They were joined a year later by Rachel Ames, who made her most recent appearance in 2015. Show was taped in L.A. It was the second soap to air on ABC after the short-lived Road to Reality. In 1964, a sister soap was created for General Hospital called The Young Marrieds. It ran for 2 years, was canceled for low ratings. General Hospital also spawned the daytime series Port Charles and the primetime spinoff General Hospital Night Shift. But, yeah, the show's been on since 1961. Sorry, 1963. Guinness World Records, longest-running American soap opera in production. Yeah, I'll say. And the second in American history after Guiding Light. Okay, explain that to me. It's the longest-running American soap opera in production. And second in American history after Guiding Light. I don't know what that means. I don't understand. But, yeah, still going. April 1, 63 through now. So that's 62 years? The show's been on for 62 years? I don't have a joke there or a punchline or anything. Like the show's been on for 62 years? Like, I don't go back. There are shows that I feel like I should see. Let's use Better Call Saul as the example here. I loved Breaking Bad, and I love Bob Odenkirk. I loved his character in Breaking Bad, and the whole thing is about his character. Like, he's the center of the universe in Better Call Saul. And I know I want to watch it. I want to go back and start from the beginning and do the whole thing. But it just seems like a lot. You know, there's 8 seasons of it or something. And I just, every episode's an hour long. I think that's such a commitment. Imagine if you're like, you know what? I want to watch General Hospital from the beginning. I mean, how many hours of General Hospital exist? Because I'm curious to know what they're coming up with now. Are there aliens? Have they moved to space? I mean, I assume they've probably already been through like nuclear war. There's got to be a lot. You need a lot of ideas to pump out. Like, we're at episode 228 of Writer Radio. I'm running dry. Not really, but you know what I mean. You get the point. 60 plus years of a television show set in a hospital. It seems like you would have been out of ideas 45 years ago. Like, I never think about the fact that General Hospital still exists, but it's crazy. That wedding, the most famous episode in soap opera history, happened 44 years ago. And they're still they keep on trucking, still going. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. What else we got here? I found another top movies list. And all I'm doing now, because it's the end of the year, so there's a lot of this, and everybody's putting them out. This is from AV Club. All I'm doing now is scrolling down to make sure that One Battle After Another is number one, and it is. Top movie of the year from AV Club also. It's a bunch of stuff I never heard of, a couple things I did. Sinners is in the top 4. Sinners is 4th. I saw that. That was good. Ryan Coogler's Vampire Masterpiece, they're calling it. That was good. Weapons. I don't know what Weapons is, but I feel like I should see Weapons, because I keep seeing that popping up on these lists as well. Giving a Stephen King Small Town a healthy dose of Roald Dahl's nasty humor. The writer-director's horror film Weapons delights in making a too-real tragedy into a fantastic, perverse indictment of suburban coping. The part where it says horror makes me question if I really need to see it. Julia Garner's in it. That's the girl from Ozark. Ruth from Ozark, I believe, right? I would watch that just for her. She's great. All right, I'll probably watch that. At number 2, they have a movie called If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which I've never heard of. And then at 1 is One Battle After Another, which everyone should see. It's coming soon to HBO, I think, so it'll become more widely available. It was released in September and didn't do a ton. It was promoted very strangely, and in no way did the box office reflect what a great movie it is. It's awesome. You're going to need to see it. You're going to want to see it because you're going to want to watch the Oscars just to root for it like I am. I have not seen everything in contention. I've seen very little of what's in contention. But I like what I like. And, man, this is great. The latest Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Highly recommend. All right, I'm going to take a timeout. We're going to play some songs. We'll talk to Bob Gahn coming up in just a few. Do you want the Christmas music or do you want regular music? I like the Christmas music thing as a device. Like, I thought that was fun. I'm also tired of it. I don't listen to Christmas music in real life. I listen to regular music in real life. So rather than Christmas music this time, we're going to go with regular, real stuff. I'm not going to pick every song. I'll pick the first song. And I'll let like 2 more play, and then Bob will be on. And I got to go get the QR code so I can let you hear my son's, my 9-year-old son's football podcast that's 2 minutes long and is brought to you by the Sabres and Pepsi. It's fun. All right, where's my screen I'm looking for? I want that one. Yeah, we'll do that one. All right. Be right back. It's Writer Radio, episode 228. Bob Gaughan joins me soon. Stick around. So he's calling now. So I'm going to hit answer on the phone. So now I've officially answered the phone, and Bob is there, but I don't have him turned up yet because we have to play his thing before he comes on, and then after we play his thing, we'll talk to Bob.
The way my kids date now, it's so simple. They go on an app, whether it's Grindr or whatever, they swipe right, swipe left, and they get the date automatically.
Let's check in with Writer Radio's
living legend,
Bob Gaughan.
Now we'll talk to Bob. Hi, Bob.
Hey, Brad, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Not too bad.
What's new and exciting in the world of Bob Gaughan?
Not too much. Tragedy that Rob Reiner, oh my God,
Right.
passed away.
Wasn't that terrible?
I don't know.
I don't know why that was so much worse than everybody else that's ever died, but I hated that one.
Well, yeah, when it's at the hands of your kid, oh my God, that's bad. I mean, it's just horrible. I've heard a lot of tributes. I don't know if you've heard this. You know, all the movies that he did, he started out of the box directing. Because, I mean, everybody knew him, you know, initially as Mike Stivic. By the way, I didn't like that character. I was not his acting. I just didn't like. I wasn't wild about the character. I thought he was kind of whiny and stuff like that. So I wasn't a huge fan of that character. I'm not a huge fan of Meathead.
Right.
But he starts out directing. And do you realize, if I haven't heard this, out of the box, he's like Usain Bolt out of the box. There's one movie you can help me with. His first 7 movies, his second one I didn't see. It's called The Sure Thing with John Cusack and Nicolette Sheridan. Did you see that?
No, I remember it existing, but I never saw it. That was early 80s or early to mid. Yeah, I remember it existing, but I never saw it.
Okay, so that's one of here are the other 6 though. This is how he starts his career directing. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
This is Spinal Tap, which is a cult classic, right?
It's amazing.
Stand By Me.
Amazing.
The Princess Bride.
I hate it.
One of the great.
I hate it.
You hate,
I hate it.
love it.
But I understand. I'm not going to disrespect it. A lot of people I know like it. I just hate it. But that's just
All right.
me.
When Harry Met Sally.
Great.
Misery.
Good.
A Few Good Men.
Great. Yeah, it's a good start.
That's. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't know this to be true, but I know it to be true. I don't know that there is a director in the history of cinema that has a better start than those 6 out of 7.
Yeah, I don't think Scorsese did. I don't think Tarantino did. To be honest, like there's some dogs mixed in there too. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. He's been such a part of everything. And Scott pointed out the other day, if you think about like different genres, even those, and like that's early, but like When Harry Met Sally, if you think of rom-com, When Harry Met Sally is in like the elite class of that. When you think of like courtroom drama, A Few Good Men is elite class of that. When you think of mockumentary, which kind of started with This Is Spinal Tap, elite. We're talking about elite members of these various genres. He jumped around and was perfect at all of them. It's great.
Right. And who you think about, and I'm not a big like horror person, but Kathy Bates in Misery still scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Geez.
I have not been comfortable with her on screen since then. And, you know, and I know that she's just playing a character, but it stuck with me. You know, it's like Anthony Hopkins walks into a room. I'm afraid he's eating me. You know, it's just like that kind of deal with Kathy Bates. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, just horrible. But I thought I hadn't heard. I knew he had done those movies. I just didn't realize those were like his first six of his first 7 movies. I mean, holy crap, that's unbelievable how he started off directing.
And especially with Spinal Tap, in that it's an entirely different genre of everything. Yes. He's on screen in it. You look at him, you know it's Rob Reiner, but he tells you he's somebody else, and you believe him. And then it's one of the best things that's ever been put on film is that movie, and it invented an entire genre. So yeah, pretty big deal there.
Right, and Stand By Me, I don't remember many. Like that was one of the first, maybe for me, narrator. You know, since we've Morgan Freeman has done it probably better, but Richard Dreyfuss narrating that movie was different for me. I don't, again, maybe I hadn't seen many movies like that, but like you said, there's just so many different types of movies of those first 6. Yeah. I still can't believe you don't like The Princess Bride. My God, that is just some of those lines in there,
Yeah, no.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
I know. I know. I think that's what makes me hate it. It's one of those. It's like, people that just walk around and talk in movie quotes, and it's just it's funny for a little while. And it's like, do you have a personality of your own? I feel like Princess Bride is a Caddyshack is the same way, where it's like you saying the line from the movie doesn't make you funny, man. It's just. There's something about Princess Bride with the lines and the people that like it and the way that it's quoted and it being talked about. I mean, in my chat group I have with all my college friends, somebody in reference to Rob Reiner's death was like, we should all watch The Princess Bride at the same time. So, like, my friends like it. I can't look at that Wallace Shawn guy. I just
oh, my God. I love that. I was going to say, that's the best scene. No, Wallace Shawn. Oh, when he's going off about how if but you would know that this drug came from Australia, and Australia is all full of thieves, so you would put it in front of my cup. Oh, I love that scene. Yeah, you don't like that scene.
I don't like that guy. I can't look at his face. I don't like him. Yeah. I don't like Andre the Giant. It's just it's frustrating to me. So but we can throw that out. We can ignore it. I understand that it's not everything is for me. I have very peculiar taste. I don't like people dressed like that. Like I can't watch stuff in that era. I don't know. There's just something about it. But that's not the point. We should not let that take away from the legacy of Rob Reiner, who has just been a fantastic part of all entertainment my entire life.
Yeah. No, it's a shame. And again, the way just disgusting the way it happened. So, speaking of let's disgusting, the Bills in the first halves have been a little bit disgusting, Brad. I thought of you while I was watching the game the other day, because we talked about this a little bit, and I said, you know what, I prefer the second half, and it paid off again. But you're right, that slow start is something they might want to get out of their system. Well, here's the thing. Here's a narrative going around which I disagree with. Tell me if there's a narrative going around. I heard Greg Cosell with it. I heard Doug Flutie talk about it. Heard a number of people, and that is that basically the Buffalo Bills this year are Josh Allen and little else. They have very little talent on this team. I disagree with that.
So do I.
I really do. I mean, I don't know, but I really believe. Do you disagree that that's the narrative, though? I mean, I've heard a lot of people talk about that. This is just the way it is. Josh Allen's got to put his cape on because this team has no talent. And then they're, like McDermott's getting a lot of credit because of the adjustments that he makes at halftime, which we talked about last week. But here's my issue with that, and that is, if the team really had no talent, let's just say on the defense side of the ball, I don't think it would matter what adjustments he made. The team would just get run over. I mean, if the team really had no talent, then they're not just getting run over in the first half, they're getting run over in the second half. The fact that they don't get run over in the second half, to me, points to, where the hell is the coaching in the first half? Because they obviously have some talent that Drake May, they basically took away. He's not going to be the MVP, based on what Josh Allen did to him. I mean, Josh Allen put that to bed, right? See you later, Drake May.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I even heard Bill Simmons talking about how would you ever give the award to Drake May when Josh Allen's in the league? Like, how can you do that? And I believe that the whole time. It's just a matter of it coming through and shining through, and the Bills climbing in the standings and all that sort of stuff. But it's not like he's had a bad year. It's not. It's been a little looser than last year. It was a little more buttoned up last year, but he still walks into a stadium and all eyes are on him because he's the best player in the league. So I don't need him to win the MVP. I need him to win the Super Bowl. But any conversation about the new fun toy that is Drake May, or maybe it's Matt Stafford. Like, okay, take the entire league, get rid of. Nobody has any players on their team anymore. We're starting over. 32 out of 32 teams take Josh Allen first out of the players available in the NFL, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
So what are we talking about? It's his award in my mind until he declines, and he is not declining yet. So I'm good with that.
To go back to the talent situation, though,
yeah.
I think Cook is elite. I think the offensive line, other than the Houston game, which I'll give two guys were probably banged up, and Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, I think the offensive line is above average for sure. I think the tight ends are above average. Again, the wide receivers are poor. And on the defensive side of the ball, I think Ed Oliver, Rousseau, I think in the secondary with Hairston and Cole Bishop, I think Benford, you're certainly above average in a lot. Now they don't have. I understand they don't have Will Anderson. They don't have Myles Garrett. They don't have somebody like that. But for this narrative to be out there like this, they're void of talent. I don't like it. I totally disagree with it, but it's almost like everybody is just saying it now.
Yep.
Everybody just says it just because there's no pushback, and I'm trying to push back on that.
Well, void of talent was Josh Allen throwing to Charles Clay and Robert Foster. Like that was void of talent. This is an O-line that is protecting him and giving the team a run game. And like you said, the Houston game aside, but you're allowed to lose a game. You're allowed to have a bad day. It's fine. You need to win enough to get into the playoffs and then win a few games and be the champion. I think they are a solid all-around team with a genuine superstar or the superstar of the league at the quarterback position, and that's good enough, man. That's fine. That's fun. That's fun to watch. It's fun. Like, down 21-0, I should be worried or complaining or bothered or scared or something, and instead it's like, well, all right, so just score, and then it'll be halftime, and then score, and then you're down by one touchdown, and Josh Allen's your quarterback, and I feel great about it. So, like, I'm not even bragging about the guy that my team has. I'm just super comfortable that they're not out of a game because he's there. So, yeah, he's the reason for everything. But that's a good team. That's a good the culture, all of it. You don't win 5 division titles in a row, possibly 6, and I think 6 is very much in play. And be at the top, make the playoffs every year. It's just assumed they're going to make the playoffs because they are. That's a good team. They've built a good team. It's not just Josh. You're right.
But I think that if there is a divide between, and people I think are trying to, I don't know if there is, between Bean and McDermott, I think that narrative kind of pushes more towards, if one of them had to go, it would be Bean, not McDermott.
No way.
The narrative, I'm saying that narrative out there that this team is void of talent, if that is the narrative, then if there was a disaster in the playoffs, and Terry Pagula, which I doubt he was going to do considering how long it took him to get rid of Adams. So I don't think he would get rid of one or the other, but let's just go down this rabbit hole if we would. If that is the narrative, and one of them would go, if the narrative was right, and this is why I'm pushing back, then you would say, well, then Bean's got to go because this team is void of talent.
Right.
That's where I'm. That's kind of like a big. And again, the slight people, the people that are going with the divide, talk about maybe. Then this has a UB connection here. How much McDermott love he put out there for Jamarcus Ingram when he was picked up on it. He kind of went overboard. okay, he was a fourth cornerback. I mean, I love him. He went to UB, so, love all those guys. But he wasn't the best cornerback in the league. I mean, come on,
or a cornerback capable of being in the lineup most of the time for the Bills. He had been inactive a couple weeks in a row. They saw an opportunity. It didn't work out, obviously. That's rough. They misjudged it or whatever, or didn't know that there was a secret deal between the player and the Eagles. But, oh well. And you lose Jamarcus Ingram in the process of trying to make your team better. I get how it happens. It stinks that it happens. It feels like you should be able to say, all right, hold on, he's not coming in. We want our guy back. It feels like you should be able to do that. You can't. Oh, well, oops. It's an oops, but it's not a signal that things are crazy in the front office at One Bills Drive.
No, not at all. But, I mean, that's probably the biggest story of the week, probably NFL-wise, is Mahomes and what this means for next year. Forget about this year. They were done this year anyway. They're almost done in that game. I mean, I don't want to hear they were losing in that game, and the offense wasn't scoring anything. But as we saw with Lamar Jackson, when he gets a little hamstring injury, a guy, and I would say this about Josh Allen.
Sure.
If his legs go, that's a big part of his game. And that's what I would say about Patrick Mahomes. Even if he comes back, which is a debatable issue because that injury is 9 to 12 months. 9 months, he's there for week 1. 12 months, he's out the whole year. So somewhere in between there is probably the truth. But even if he comes back, if he's not moving at the same rate he was before, well, that's not the same Patrick Mahomes, just as we're seeing right now. You're not seeing the same Lamar Jackson right now, and that team is suffering, and Kansas City is going to be suffering as well next year, not only this year but next year. Even if he does come back, if he doesn't move the way he was before the injury.
Well, and the opposite of that is being shown right now, and proving your point. Phillip Rivers can sit out for 5 years and come back and stand in the pocket and be 30 pounds heavier than he was, and he's still basically the same quarterback because his game was never built around movement. His game is built between the ears. And you can just replicate that 5 years out. He's on the ballot for the Hall of Fame, and he's back starting in the NFL again. There's no way you can have Lamar Jackson sit for 5 years and come back and be your quarterback, or have Patrick Mahomes sit for 5 years and come back and be your quarterback. It works for Rivers because it's not about that. You take away Rivers' legs, he's like, I didn't have legs. It's fine. You take it away from Mahomes, and it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm with you. I think we might never see the Patrick Mahomes that we've come to know and love or hate or whatever, but the one that we know might no longer exist. And
you could also see Kelsey gone, and it wouldn't shock you if Reed retires, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, at the age of Reed, at the age of Kelsey, at the age of Reed, if he does come back next year, I think there's a really good chance he's certainly not coming back with Kelsey. And he might not be coming back with Andy Reid either. So, I mean, this is a total different look for this league.
It's shut down. It's with the look on Mahomes' face when it happened, I thought, well, that's a real injury. You can tell. And then immediately your brain starts churning. You're like, what's that mean for this year? Well, nothing. My first thought was, what a waste to have this injury come now. Like that, I've been waiting. Not that we root for injuries, Bob, but sometimes injuries might be helpful. And if Mahomes had gone away at some point any of these past 4 or 5 seasons, the outcome might have been different for the Bills. To lose him from the league at the same time that the Chiefs are eliminated anyway, it seems almost redundant and wasteful to have the injury come at a time when the Chiefs don't need him because they're not in the playoffs anymore anyway. But yeah, it really feels like that the whole Chiefs thing could be over. I mean, that doesn't mean they're not a good franchise. They can't pull it all together with somebody else, but I think it might have all just died on one play.
Yeah, and again, people pointing to the other guy, Tom Brady came back from the injury. Oh, I'm sorry. Tom Brady is more like Phillip Rivers.
Right.
He didn't move anyway, so who the hell cares? He did it all. He's doing it all with his brain, just like Rivers is doing it still with his brain. then it didn't matter. We're talking apples and oranges here when you're talking about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady and Phillip Rivers. They're just doing it two totally different ways.
Totally agree. You mentioned the Sabres and Kevin Adams. That happened. Kevin Adams is no longer the GM.
Yeah, I mean, talk about it's about time. When I think that this should have happened, this just seems like he's been dead man walking after last year when they went on that long losing streak and he didn't make any moves. Was it 13 straight games? Yeah. And it's been toast since then. So it's been over a year that I think it's been over for Kevin Adams. Nice guy too, and again, some of them it's just nothing's worked out. What are you going to say? I think if you got Kevin Adams in a bar right now and said, what did you expect to happen? He would be like, yeah, I mean, come on. You only get so much time. You don't make the playoffs. What the hell was going to happen here? Right. I just can't believe it took as long as it did. And that's where I just, to make that correlation. If he didn't make that long of a move with Adams, what is he going to do with the Bills? It had been more successful. I don't even know. Do you even know what you want, like, the Sabres to do?
No.
I mean, like, if you said, put a gun in my hand and said, this is what I want, the new general manager, okay, sign Tuck to a contract that I think we all agree might be overpaying him. Okay, I'm okay with that. Other than that, but that's not changing the product on the ice. Re-signing Tuck, I don't even know. That's how far gone I think this team is. You know?
I don't tune in on a regular basis. I will say I've been frustrated lately because it seems like they're all right. The times that I've watched them play, they seem like they're a middle of the pack type of team. And then you look at the standings, and they're 500 points percentage, but that's still good for last place in the Eastern Conference. So I've been kind of dwelling lately on the fact that the NHL has some games worth 2 and some games worth 3, and that's absurd. Because as a casual fan, it makes it really difficult. Sabres go on a 3-game win streak. Like, all right, that's cool. They were around 500. Now they're 3 games better than they just were. And I look, and it's exactly 500, and it's last place. So, like, I don't even know how to sell the NHL, let alone the team. They seem all right when I watch them. They seem like they're okay, but it's, obviously inconsistency. It took this long into the season to put together a 3-game winning streak. That's not great. Goaltending's been all right, despite the fact that they don't really have a guy. They've been bouncing around between a few. So I don't have the answer. I would defer to somebody who pays better attention to the team to tell me what's right and what's wrong. I know that, like, I was reading the longest tenured players on the team, and like the third longest tenured player is Samuelson. I still haven't seen anything ever out of that guy that justifies why he is considered a top-tier defenseman and why he's considered somebody worthy of the contract that he has. It's talked about like he's a star player. I've never seen him do a single thing in a single game. I don't watch all the games. I don't watch most of the games. But I would think that in passing, I would have caught something where, like, oh, that's why people talk about him as one of the better players on the team. I don't know that that's true. Like, that was a big signing when they brought him in, and I don't know. I'm lost. I don't have answers, I guess, is the overall point.
Well, I think the biggest thing might be, and it doesn't seem like it might be a clean break, whether it's after this year where Lindy steps away, moves someplace else in the organization, just with his age, with a new general manager in there. The new general manager might bring in a new coach. I mean, I see that as a very potential of happening really soon, just with the new GM in there.
Yeah, I was excited to have him back, and I thought that would get me interested again, because that's kind of where I lost my interest. You think about when the Pagulas fired Lindy Ruff, it was a mercy killing. It wasn't even this guy's got to go. It was we don't know what else to do. We believe in him, but it's not working. So sorry, Lindy. It's just time to make some sort of a change here, and that's what they did. And it's been a disaster since. And then bringing him back, I like in theory. And honestly, the times I tune in, they look like they're competing. They look like they're all right, but the standings don't show it. So it wouldn't be shocking. I wouldn't have been shocked if he walked away after last year, or if he found a different role, if they had dumped Kevin Adams and made him the GM or something, made him the president. I don't even know. He deserves a role with this team. He is Buffalo through and through. He is Sabres through and through. He's like top 5 all-time Sabre people, and he deserves to be here. But yeah, if we're moving in a different direction, I understand. I wouldn't kick him to the curb, but I would get it. I would get why. I mean, it's been forever. It's been forever. Bob, the Sabres drought is approaching the Bills drought, and I mean the Bills drought was a bigger deal. But this one's gross, and people spend a lot of money on these tickets, and they spend a lot of time watching this team, and like nothing has happened. I've opted out of Sabres hockey for the better part of like 15 years now, and I haven't missed anything. That's bad.
No, it is. I mean, when you're being compared to the Jets and the futility, I mean, when you're just looking from, what's our view of the New York Jets? You think how bad, the Jets are in that organization, and then you say, Shazam! That's the way everybody looks about the Buffalo Sabres. We're in the same boat as the Sabres and the Jets. That's not good.
Yeah.
Hey, let's finish up with a Stone Cold Lock.
Do it.
Hey, I've been very, very successful. We're just going to continue this trend of going with that was humiliated to come back with a better effort. 2 weeks ago was Pittsburgh. They win as a 6-point underdog against Baltimore. Last week it was Philadelphia. They shut out the Raiders 31-0. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay this week. Their coach, Todd Bowles, I've never even heard him swear. He drops like F-bomb after F-bomb, like 10 F-bombs in 1 minute, just totally, annihilates his team. Last Thursday night after they blow a 14-point lead at home to Atlanta. I think they bounce back with a better effort. They're a 3-point favorite on the road against Carolina. Let's see if we can do 3 in a row with kind of the same philosophy that the team that was humiliated and it gets called out comes back with a much better effort. It worked the first 2 times. Let's see if we can do it 3 times in a row.
I love it, and I have not heard the Bulls thing, and we're going to do that after we take a break, because when we get back, we're going to hear Todd Bowles swear at us, and then we're also going to hear my son Drew's podcast that he recorded at school. It's 2 minutes long. It's called Allen's Dimes. It's him and his friend Dylan talking Bills football, and people are going to want to hear that. So we'll hear swearing and also children, but not together, when we return after a brief timeout. Bob, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Thanks, Brad.
All right, there's Bob Gone. He's our grinder.
The way my kids date now, it's so simple. They go on an app, whether it's Grindr or whatever, they swipe right, swipe left, and they get the date automatically.
Automatic. It's automatic.
This is Rider Radio.
There we go. A little dead air doesn't really hurt. Spittin' Chicklets guys said Lindy is out, moving him to president of hockey operations, and they might bring in Tortorella. Says our friend Ray. There's also a lot of talk about Aaron Gray in the chat. Aaron Gray, who was on the Buck Rogers show. Buck Rogers died. Gil something. I've seen it 7 times today. Gil G. But anyway, Aaron Gray was on that, and now there's a bunch of 50-something dudes talking about Aaron Gray, who's 75 now, and she was just called gorgeous in the chat. Worth noting. She was something. Maybe she still is, but 75. I don't have any comments. I haven't seen recent Aaron Gray. Should I look up recent Aaron Gray? All right, I'm going to look up recent Aaron Gray. Aaron Gray now. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, it's a 75-year-old woman. She's doing great for 75, but I mean, come on. Let's not get ourselves too worked up about current Aaron Gray. Former Aaron Gray. Silver Spoons Aaron Gray. Silver Spoons Aaron Gray. Yeah, let's go. I was, 8 years old or 10 years old. I didn't know what I liked, but I knew I liked it. I didn't know what it was that I was feeling, but I was feeling something. Shout out Aaron Gray, 75. She looks great for 75. We're not gonna get weird. All right, 2 things we need to hear. Todd Bowles, following his team's 28-14 blown 28-14 lead He apologized later. He said he doesn't usually curse much, but he was angry at the time. So let's hear what Todd Bowles had to say. I have not heard this, but Bob referenced it. Let's do it.
You don't make excuses. You got to care enough where the shit hurts. You got to care enough where the shit hurts. It got to mean something to you. It's more than a job. It's your livelihood. How well do you know your job? How well can you do your job? Well, you can't quote that. It was inexcusable, and there's no answer for it. There's no excuse for it. That's what you tell them in the locker room.
All right, there's the censored version of it. I was in for the vulgarity. I was here for the swearing, and I got the censored version because Adam Schefter tweeted it out. There is a just full YouTube version of the press conference, 6 minutes 14 seconds.
I had a crazy idea.
Turn the volume down on that. We can skip in 1 second. Let's try it. I can put this on the screen, actually.
You got a 14-point lead with 10 minutes left. What happened?
Didn't execute. And a few guys that didn't make some plays weren't where they're supposed to be. Inexcusable, can't happen.
Todd, you had that 2-score lead, and they went right down the field. It seemed like the defense went very passive, didn't see any blitzes on that drive. Last drive, you get a sack fumble on a blitz, and then you get an incompletion on a blitz, and then 3rd and 28, 4th and 14, you don't blitz. Maybe chunk plays. Why do you not stay aggressive in those situations when it's working?
3rd and 28, you got to be able to play it. It's 3rd and 28. It doesn't matter whether you rush 4-man, 5-man, or 6-man. You know where the ball's going. You got to get off the field. It was inexcusable the way we played the 4th and 14.
Well, why not keep blitzing?
You could say that. In 4th and 14, if they get one out quick and throw a screen,
The screen is very orange. You're right, Nick.
That's not even an issue right there.
Todd, you guys got to Cousins on that last drive. They said it was a simultaneous recovery. Is that something that's reviewable? Or?
Tried to get it reviewed, couldn't. They kept going. They kept it going.
You can see him building to snapping.
We saw this Falcons team move the ball so well 2 years.
He's calm. He's holding it in.
To see Pitts and Robinson get open as often as they did, how does that happen?
Doesn't happen. We played bad technique. A few guys played some bad things, and it's inexcusable because we knew it all week and just didn't execute it.
What do you tell them in the locker room after a game like this?
It's inexcusable. You don't make excuses. You got to care enough where the shit hurts. You got to care enough where the shit hurts. It got to mean something to you. It's more than a job.
That's disappointing.
It's your livelihood. How well do you know your job? How well can you do your job? Well, you can't sugarcoat it. It was inexcusable, and there's no answer for it. There's no excuse for it. That's what you tell them in the locker room. Look in the mirror.
All right. Oh, I'm disappointed there. I'm here for the vulgarity. I was ready for the swearing. I like the swearing when I don't do it. Somebody else does it. It's fun. When I do it, I just feel like I'm being crude. But if, I do it in life. I just mean on the show. On the show, I try to maintain. A word will slip here and there, but it's for emphasis. I wanted to hear Todd Bowles go nuts. And we just got the censored version, and I apologize for making you sit through a censored rant. Censored rants are no fun. Real rants are great. We did a whole show on these a couple weeks ago. Busted out, Tommy Lasorda and Earl Weaver, Dennis Green. That was good stuff. Bowles censored is not nearly as good as it could have been. All right, so we go from ultra dirty, ultra vulgar Todd Bowles following his team's collapse against Atlanta. We'll follow that up with my son Drew, who is in the Bills podcast club at his elementary school. He's in 4th grade. He's 9. And he paired with his friend Dylan to put together this podcast. I don't have video of it. It's a slideshow. Picture a lot of, Josh Allen diving at the pylon type of images piled on top of this, which is Drew's podcast debut on his own. He's been on my show multiple times.
Hi, my name is Drew. And I am Dylan. You are listening to the Allen Dimes podcast on the Tiger Network.
Throughout this episode, you are going to hear about the Buffalo Bills. It is time to hear from our first sponsor of the podcast, the Buffalo Sabres. You should go to Sabres games. They're Buffalo's #1 hockey team.
The Bills joined the AFL in 1960. That's 65 years ago. The Buffalo Bills drafted the franchise QB in Josh Allen in the 2018 NFL Draft. And Josh Allen got MVP in 2024. James Cook's brother also plays in the NFL.
Josh Allen is one of the best QBs of 2025. That's why he's my favorite Buffalo Bills player. Keon Coleman was on Michigan and Florida State. He also played basketball.
Close.
That is why he is also my favorite Bills player and the best receiver on.
It is time to hear from our second sponsor, Pepsi. It is a refreshing cool drink that bubbles in your mouth.
The Buffalo Bills really are really good this season. They're sitting at an 8-4 record, number 2 in their division. They have a 75% chance of making the playoffs this season. They're standing strong as a wild card playoff team. They're the 5 seed in the AFC.
We have been Buffalo Bills fans since 2016. Fun fact, that's when we were born.
Thanks for listening to the Allen Dimes podcast on the Tiger Network. We hope you have a great day.
All right, there's Drew and Dylan. And I'm hoping my Spotify doesn't take me down for Mr. Brightside playing in the background there. It might. I might have to edit that out. I might have to edit out my kids' podcast because it's using protected material, stuff you can't just throw into a podcast. But you can do it on the Tiger Network at Maple West, apparently. If I hold up my phone to the camera, you can see what this thing looked like. There, it's Josh diving in. Drew and Dylan. Yeah, isn't that nice? For Dylan and Drew. Whatever. All right. That's it for that. Good job, Drew. Good job, Dylan. They spent 4 hours putting that 2 minutes together, and there's a jumbled edit thing in there. I did not know my kid likes Keon Coleman so much. He also confused Michigan with Michigan State. We're not going to nitpick. He's 9. He's 9. I guess we can nitpick a little. They were told to include sponsors, so they decided that their podcast was brought to you by the Sabres and Pepsi. And, yeah. All right, so that was fun. That was cool. All right, what else do we have here? List of lakes in Rhode Island. I'm not going to get into that. That's a sore spot from trivia last night. We failed again. We were right there. Thought we had the final answer. We did not have the final answer. We wound up with 0, and that stinks. All right, what else do I have here? All right, this is got too many things open again. Oh, this is a fun one from the world of college football. So LSU hires Lane Kiffin away from Mississippi. And now Mississippi, a.k.a. Ole Miss, is hiring LSU's interim head coach to come to them after their bowl game. Ole Miss is set to hire LSU interim head coach Frank Wilson to its staff. The move will occur after the Tigers bowl game. Wilson is set to be Ole Miss's running backs coach under new head coach Pete Golding. He took over as LSU's interim head coach after the firing of Brian Kelly, and his future was in question after the hiring of Lane Kiffin. Wilson previously worked at Ole Miss from 05 to 07 as running backs and special teams coach. He also has head coaching experience at UTSA and McNeese State. Before returning to LSU in 2022 as part of Kelly's initial staff, he previously worked with the Tigers from 2010 through 15. Late in the regular season, as LSU went through its coaching search before ultimately hiring Kiffin from Ole Miss, Wilson was asked about his future in Baton Rouge. He made his love for the program clear and expressed a desire to stay should things work out. He said, "I love LSU, and as long as LSU will have me, I would love to be a part of what we are doing here. However, it's way more interesting than that as he heads to Ole Miss, as Kiffin heads from Ole Miss to LSU. It's the latest storyline in the rivalry between the two teams. He's a key hire for Golding as he takes over for Kiffin, who will make his return to Oxford quickly in 2026. The Rebels and Tigers will square off in Week 3 at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, what's sure to be one of the most anticipated games of the year. There's more on Frank Wilson. I don't need to know much about Frank Wilson. I just like that they're like, okay, we'll take your guy. Whether he was going to be able to stay there or not is unclear, but fun. It's a fun little jab at Louisiana State. It's just that's cool. I enjoy that. I enjoy goofy things as such. One of the things I have open on my screen is narrated movies. Bob brought up the concept of Stand By Me being narrated, and it lists here on IMDb. I don't know how they're 133 narrated movies. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is 1. That's weird. Snatch is 2. Revolver, Rock and Roll. All right, Goodfellas, Casino, Trainspotting. What else is in here that matters? A Clockwork Orange, Fight Club, Usual Suspects, Up in the Air, Royal Tenenbaums, Christmas Story. That's a good one. Christmas Story. Sandlot. Christmas Story 83. Sandlot 93. This is Spinal Tap 84. Stand By Me probably 85. Why is Stand By Me not on this list? Avatar is narrated? I'll never see Avatar. I saw a commercial for a new Avatar movie, and they're like, this might be the best Avatar movie ever. Who's watching? How can you look at that? This is like my Princess Bride thing. I can't look at that Wallace Shawn guy. How can you look at those green, pointy-faced things and consider them to be characters in a story that you care about? It doesn't make sense to me. Also narrated, Shawshank Redemption, Wolf of Wall Street, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, sort of, American Beauty, Memento, Forrest Gump, Big Lebowski, $1 Million Baby, The Big Short, Color Purple, Apocalypse Now, Citizen Kane. That one's old. That's 1941. Eternal Sunshine. Amadeus, Platoon, Legends of the Fall, Braveheart, Dances with Wolves, Full Metal Jacket, Gangs of New York, Adaptation. I love Adaptation. Mean Streets, Princess Bride. There it is at number 90. Actually, that's not even the one we were talking about. We were talking about Stand By Me. Princess Bride's 1987. Basketball Diaries, Payback, Deadpool, The Age of Innocence, To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962. The TV show The Wonder Years, The Sixth Sense. Is that? I don't feel like that's narrated. Sixth Sense? Primal Fear. I feel like this list is screwy. But that's what happens when you're just flying by the seat of your pants doing a show, right? I think we're going to wrap things up. Is there anything else? Let me just hit the news real quick and see if anything crazy happened in the last 2 hours. Centrist Republicans revolt, signing a petition to force a vote on Obamacare funding. In a leadership-defying move, Republican backs Democratic push to extend key Obamacare subsidies. Okay, that seems like a thing. Australia police charge surviving Bondi Beach attacker as first funerals held. That's the other one that happened, the shooting in Australia. They're so good at not doing that in Australia, and they're falling apart too. Bills head coach Sean McDermott delivers perfect response to Mike Vrabel's criticism. All right, I'll open that. See what's going on there. And then we'll wrap things up. After beating the Patriots in a game with huge playoff implications, McDermott is borrowing a line from Bill Belichick. Let me guess. We're on to Cleveland? When asked about his rival coach's complaints, McDermott did his best to channel Belichick. Speaking about his team's second-half collapse on the Greg Hill Show, Vrabel suggested the referees put away their whistles and may have let the Bills get away with some holding. Vrabel said, it's a difficult job. They do have a difficult job. The consistency, sometimes I struggle with it. I'll say this, the Bills lead the NFL in offensive holds, and I'll leave it at that. And that would be hard for me to understand how the team that is coming into the game leading, and that's how they play, didn't have one yesterday. That's hard for me to understand. They did have one. There was a touchdown called back. They scored on the next play, I believe, so it didn't really matter. But there was a Allen rushing touchdown that was taken off the board because of a holding call against Osiris Torrance. While Vrabel may have been overlooking the holding call that wiped out a Josh Allen touchdown run, the Bills head coach didn't seem willing to engage with the criticism. When asked about his comments, McDermott paraphrased a famous line from Belichick, which was being on to Cincinnati. After a crushing 2014 loss to the Chiefs that raised questions about whether New England's dynasty was coming to an end, Belichick repeatedly stated that his team was moving on to Cincinnati. McDermott also said his team is looking forward to their next game. We go by what the officials call. We're focused on the Cleveland Browns at this point. So Mike can talk what he wants to talk about, all due respect. We enjoyed a good game yesterday, hard-fought game, and we're moving on. On to Cleveland. I like it. it is weird to get that perspective from another team. Like to hear, I mean, I watched a game where I was mad about things that happened with officiating, mostly about what happened at the end of the first half with the clock. That was just straight up Gillette Stadium garbage. And then learn way after the fact that people rooting for the other team, most notably the head coach, were also upset with officiating, but in a different direction. I will say on the pass interference call that was ruled both a catch and pass interference, and then the Bills got to decline pass interference and take the stats. I don't know how clear it is that Khalil Shakir caught that ball. It's possible that he did. It's possible that he had control of it and then was down, and then the ball was wrested away from him into the arms of the defender. It's possible. But the reality is, if I had to guess, I would say that's an interception, but also it's an interception after pass interference because, yeah, he turned his head around, but it was after he drove face first into Shakir as the ball's approaching. So for sure that was interference. I'm not sure if it was a catch. It doesn't really matter if it was a catch. It's super annoying if you're a Patriots fan to hear that it's a catch when you're looking at it. It looks like it probably wasn't. But it's irrelevant due to the fact that the interference took place, and I don't even think that's debatable. Turning your head around does not absolve you of all your sins, especially when it's after the fact. If his head is around and he backs into the receiver and he's just making a play on the ball, it's different. But you can't drive face first into the receiver, then turn your head, then the ball arrives, then you're like, what? I turned my head. It's fine. So that's interference. I don't know that it was a catch, but it doesn't matter aside from statistics. There were, Shakir gets the catch, Allen gets the completion, gets the yards because they're able to decline it because it was ruled a catch and pass interference. But that's just a statistical thing that I wouldn't think any coach in the NFL would concern himself with. It was a weird play. It was definitely a weird play. But the interference overrides all of it. And if that's what we're talking about, what else are we talking about? We're talking about the Deion Dawkins thing where there's like a rip move and he falls on top of the guy. That's holding. I don't know. I didn't think it was anything. Holding stuff. Holding, it's pretty cliche here, but you can pretty much call it any time you want to. It's when it's blatant. When a jersey is tugged, when you see like the Coleman, there's an interference called on a play that I'd like Coleman to catch, even if he is my son's second favorite player on the team, as I discovered from listening to his podcast. I also like the part where they've been fans of the team since 2016. Fun fact, that's the year we were born. I thought that was pretty good. So nice job by them. Thanks to Bob Gaughan for joining me. Thanks to Paul Hamilton, who is in touch and is going to join me on Friday. Scott Wilson will join me on Friday. No plans for tomorrow as far as guests are concerned, but I don't know. I've got Ray Walter jumping in asking, can we talk about my New York Knicks being NBA Cup champions? I would say yes, Ray. How about tomorrow? Ray? You haven't been on in a while. We need our senior legal and NBA correspondent, Ray Walter, to be a part of the show. I don't know what he's got going on in his chambers on Thursday morning. But the Honorable Ray Walter putting in a plug for himself, and I think if we are going to talk about your Knicks, then you should be a part of it, Ray Walter. So maybe we'll talk to Ray tomorrow. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for listening, sharing, liking, subscribing, all the stuff. Show will be available as a podcast on both Spotify and YouTube within an hour or so of right now. We're all caught up. Everything is posted. So this is just one I've got to do. So I'm going to finish here. I'm going to edit it up. Might have to get rid of the podcast thing because of Mr. Brightside playing, which stinks. The Drew podcast. Drew and Dylan. Dylan's included too. He just doesn't live here. I don't know him as well. Drew I've known like the whole time. I remember him. The day he was born, I was like, hey, it's Drew. I know this kid. We were probably just calling him Andrew at that point. He went through a phase where he decided his name was Andre. Have I ever talked about that? Which, he has the right to do that. It's just dropping a letter. When we named him Andrew, my wife had a strict no Andy policy. He's not going to be Andy. Although somebody started calling him that, we couldn't stop it. But he's Andrew or he's Drew. And then he just decided he was Andre, which has led to Dre, So he's been a little of everything. He went through a phase a couple of years ago where he would just introduce himself to people as Andre. And we wouldn't hear it, but we'd be at a playground or something. And it would be time to leave. And he'd say, bye, Dylan. And some kid we didn't know would be like, bye, Andre. Like, why'd he call you Andre? Like, I told him my name's Andre. He was signing papers at school, Andre, for a while. That phase seems to have gone away. He's mostly just Drew now. But yeah, that's his podcast. Allen's Dimes is the name of the podcast. Took 4 hours to put together, almost 2 minutes of podcast. But he's 9. Okay, I'm done. Thanks for listening, watching, chatting, all the stuff. Thanks for all the stuff. We're going to have commercials here. If I just play this with no sound here, I'm going to wait till the commercial thing is done and then put on a song, and then we'll wrap things up. But you don't need to hear this commercial for Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua on Netflix. We're not doing... Speaking of Ray, are we coming to your house again to watch Jake Paul fight? Because when he fought Tyson, we did it at Ray's house, and that was a disaster. Not Ray's fault, but Netflix was a disaster. I don't imagine they'll have a similar problem as far as viewer numbers. Like, the bandwidth just couldn't withstand everyone in the world trying to watch Mike Tyson fight Jake Paul. I imagine this one will be better from a video quality standpoint, but I don't know, man. I don't know that I need to see it. All right, what are we playing here? I haven't heard this song in a while. All right, thank you. Bye.